The Galaxy Note 10 phones have landed, and they're actually a weird mix of definitely better than the S10 line, and at the same time, in some ways not actually keeping up. So, welcome to 15 great things about the Galaxy Note 10, followed by 5 things that you should keep an eye out for. There are 3 models here, the Note 10, the Note 10 Plus, as well as a 5G version of that, which in itself is a pretty interesting move, considering that the Note used to be Samsung's single final flagship, but now even that is split into lower, mid, and higher tier. In the end though, it's more choice, so we can't really complain about that. You might remember that with the Galaxy S10, there was a bit of a delta between the performance of the Exynos version and the performance of the Snapdragon version. Well, with the Note, that's been at least compensated for, because they're powered by the brand new Exynos 9825, which is about 15% faster. There's no longer a dedicated Bixby button, and the power key is now combined with it and shifted to the left of the phone, which, to be honest, I'm completely fine with. There's no reaching or hand shuffling required to use it. This is, in all senses, an upgrade from the S10. A single tap turns the screen off, and a hold will activate Bixby. So if you want to shut it down, you have to either hold down the power and volume keys, or hit the power button that's been added to the status bar. There's a 4,300 mAh battery on the Plus model, which is a really healthy amount, but whilst that is larger than the cell on the S10 Plus, because Samsung has also had to fit an S Pen inside here, means it is smaller than the one on the S10 5G. The normal Note 10 has a 3,800 mAh cell, which is good considering the smaller size, but battery size is one of those areas that competitors are really doubling down on. On the subject of the S Pen, this phone has yet again a newly designed stylus, with the focus this time on air gestures. They're likening this to a magic wand for your phone. It can do all the tricks that the Note 9s could, like remotely take photos, but can now also do things like switch lenses and switch camera modes from a distance. To be honest though, even if it got better, I'm not sure it's something I'd actually use. Now, the phone feels good. It's got the same boxy style of past Notes, but with the lower density feel of the Galaxy S10, and good weight distribution, so I didn't feel like this was going to topple out my hands unlike some phones that are this large. The display on the Plus model is every bit as good as you'd expect it to be. It's a really similar quality 3040 by 1440 panel to the S10, but scaled up to a 6.8 inch size. You probably remember the day when a 7-inch screen was considered tablet-sized. We're pretty much there. It's also complemented by a really slick new dynamic lock screen wallpaper. It looks somewhat inspired by a bubble. The Note 10 comes with the ability to charge with 25 watts of power, and the Note 10 Plus 45 watts. In my opinion, this is some of the best news that's come out of this launch. Samsung has been trailing with charging speeds for some time now, but not anymore. The camera setup on the Note 10 is pretty much identical to the S10's, whilst the Plus is pretty much identical to the S10 5G, and you could see this either way, to be honest. It's great to see that Samsung's best phone has their best camera setup, but at the same time it's hardly breaking new ground. The main sensor here hasn't changed much in years, although image processing has come leaps and bounds. That said, there are a couple of new bells and whistles here. You've got AR Doodle, which uses the new Time of Flight camera to let you draw in augmented reality, and I could actually see this being quite a lot of fun. It does work better on the rear camera though, because that's where the Time of Flight is. So this right here is live focus video taken on the Note 10 Plus's front-facing camera. The rear camera is better for this, and there are other live focus effects, as well as just background blur. You can add a glitch effect like this, and it comes into effect when you're close enough to a subject. You've got audio zoom, which uses 3 directional microphones to focus on only picking up audio from the source that's in frame. So if I were using my ultra-wide lens and capturing everything, I'd pick up a lot of noise, but then if I started zooming in on, let's say, a car in the distance, the audio would shift to highlighting the car's sound. I'm relieved that the phone inherits a lot of the perks of the S10 line. You've got Dolby Atmos 3D surround speakers, IP68 water resistance, you've got wireless charging and wireless reverse charging, as well as micro SD card support on the larger phone. Oh yeah, and speaking of storage, they both have a ton, with 256GB options on both, and a 512GB option on the Plus. The Note 10 Plus also comes with twice the RAM of the Note 10, 12GB versus 6, making quite a significant delta in peak multitasking performance. You know, when you usually get a Pro model of a phone, you might get 2GB of extra RAM or 4GB, this might just be the largest difference I've seen. Also, the last thing I'd say in terms of real positives here is the screen to body ratio. This thing is almost all display, and the tiny punch hole in the center doesn't really take too much away from it. Okay, this is not a perfect phone, and I'd say one of the things which really hampers my excitement is just that there's not all that much new. this is shaping up to be a really great phone, but more because of just how close it is to the great phones that came before. This is one of the most similar feeling Note phones in terms of new features over the S line, and that in itself doesn't make it a worse phone, but it just feels like some of its competitors are moving on faster. What's kind of weird is that all variants of this phone only have a single front camera, compared to the dual we saw on the S10 Plus, and so front-facing portrait mode is not going to be as good, and there is still no iris scanning or secure face unlocking. Here's an easy one. There's no headphone jack here, and while Samsung didn't directly address why there isn't, I guess they're kind of implying that the audio will sound better through the USB-C port, but still, no doubt this is going to annoy a lot of long-term Samsung fans. Also, what's really weird is that whilst the Plus model can rest easy with a 6.8-inch Quad HD Plus display, the smaller phone is 6.3 inches, and a little more controversial because of a 1080p resolution. Now you might already know that's not a massive issue to me. Even on phones that have Quad HD panels, I sometimes set them to 1080p anyway just to save battery, but it's just a little unusual considering that this phone is priced as a flagship and that the smaller screened Galaxy S10 has a Quad HD panel. You can probably also tell, Samsung is trying out a new type of finish here. I've got the Aurora Glow versions, and they scatter light in an unusual way. And it's good to see experimentation, but this is far from the cleanest implementation of prism-like reflective glass. Glass is a reflective material. Glass picks up fingerprints, but this phone in particular shows them a lot more than the S10s or even the S10 5Gs. Okay, so Galaxy Note 10, is it the most exciting phone? Not really. Is it one of the most refined, solid, and reliable experiences out there? Definitely. I also thought I'd give you a quick behind the scenes of the setup I'm actually recording this voiceover with, because it is not as glamorous as you think. If you enjoyed this video, I've got a really special comparison comparing every single Galaxy S smartphone so far, so do check that out, and there's another one coming very soon which is going to be, I think, even better. My name is Aaron, this is Mr. Who's the Boss, and I will catch you in the next one.